You're crazy.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Viall Files. I am your host, Nick, and I could not be more excited about this episode that we are bringing you today. Andy Grammer is with us, and we have a fantastic conversation. Before we get into that, just want to say hi to the team. Chrissy, Allie, Amanda, how is everyone this morning? Great.
Good.
Amanda and Allie's mics work better today,
Great.
so we're at the top of our game.
We're a legitimate podcast finally.
Mike singular. It really brings us closer.
It really does.
Like physically.
How was New York, Allie?
It was good. It was very fun. My best friend, who's a year younger than me, just graduated Northwestern.
That's in Chicago.
But she lives in New York, so like all of her, it was like her family
Okay.
grad party.
Very cool.
And there was like 50 people there, and I was impressed because I pretty much knew every single person in her family. That was my pat on the back.
A guy I've been hooking up with for over 2 months told me he is falling in love with someone else, and then I pierced my nose. That was my weekend.
Both very on brand.
Very on brand. And Nick, did you enjoy your first Father's Day with Jeff?
I did. Thank you for asking.
Dog dad.
This morning, I was doing interviews, and a little plastic bag, and it had like an edible in it, and then he was chewing on the plastic bag, and I caught it just in time. So
We don't need Jeff getting high.
I almost got high.
Like a pot edible?
he like licked an edible. So
Is Natalie staying with him, or is he like unattended right now?
no, he's kennel trained. So Cindy's coming by.
But like if Cindy shows up and Jeff's passed out.
He sleeps a lot anyway.
Okay.
No, he didn't really. He pierced the bag, but like and chewed on the bag, but didn't get through the bag.
Got
so
it.
he might have got a couple licks.
Can we get like a cabinet for these in the future?
I didn't know it was there.
Like father, like son.
Anywho, we have a fantastic episode. Andy, again, is with us. Andy's got a new single on the 28th of this month. Be sure to check it out. All great stuff. It's called Lease on Life, and we have a fantastic conversation talking about, his vision, his inspiration for the song. Andy was just really fun to talk to. I really enjoyed his perspective on things, and we really had one of those kind of stimulating conversations I'm sure you will love. We have more great content coming your way. Next week, we bring a fantastic episode for you. Obviously, another great Ask Nick on Monday. Tuesday, we have the one and only Dave Holmes with us, who is going to break down the next episode of The Bachelorette. Dave has quickly become a fan favorite when it comes to breaking down all things Bachelor. And then on Wednesday, we have the one and only Katie, the Bachelorette, with us to learn a little bit more about Katie. Obviously, everything leading up to what we've seen so far, but as we like to do with our leads who come on the podcast, we like to dive a little bit deeper and who they are as people. And we've certainly have gotten to learn more about Katie and her experiences so far this season, and we look forward to sitting down with Katie. So that's next Wednesday. So thank you for listening. Tell your friends, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. I don't think there's anything else. Let's get to Andy Grammer. Lost my virginity to a woman from Montana.
Really? Were you in Montana when this happened?
No, she came to us. It was a nutty love affair. I was a high school. I had a high school buddy moved to Montana, and then I don't know if we're gonna use this, but Andy Grammer.
What's
everybody.
up?
How you doing? Thanks for coming.
Nice to be here. I almost started off right.
So his sophomore year of high school, he moved to Montana, and then a year later, he came out to visit with his dad, and we then all road tripped back with his dad. And then she was friends with my buddy Matt, and like I was just like in love. She had a boyfriend at the time. She was like one of the hotties who had like this, dating the senior who then was in college. And we had a very romantic handhold the night like she left. I was truly in love. And then we took a bus. But one of the great, I'd love to have my kids do this. We took a Greyhound from Missoula, Montana to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, which was both terrible and amazing. If you take a Greyhound, if anyone's familiar with that, you will stop at every bus station from your starting point to. So like it doubles the trip.
Yeah, it's an adventure.
And then people come in and come off. Like, it was we started the trip with like 4 friends on a bus by ourselves, and then being a full bus, and we were like playing I Spy with a bunch of strangers.
So good.
It was great. But then this was, I was in high school. So this is like when, email, people were like, oh, email. We're like, what's email? So we communicated through email, and I would have to pay my parents, like, I'd have to mow lawn so I could talk to her on the phone so I could pay for the long distance.
Oh my God.
And then a year later, my buddy came out, and my parents let her and her friend come out and stay with us. It was like, I don't know why. I still was like, why are you about to let this happen? Like, and yeah,
Montana
romantically took her up to a hill at night, and
wow.
we did on
a hill.
I was very
no
uncomfortable.
less.
A lot of mosquitoes, very as one would expect their first to be.
That is
I
pretty
didn't have any
spectacular.
mosquitoes at my first, so I didn't expect that.
I was terrified. Wow. I was terrified. Anywho, thanks for coming.
Yeah, good to be
Glad
here.
to have you. How you been?
Man, I've been. Oh my! Isn't that such a weird question these days? I feel
know.
like it's just the most basic like thing to say to someone is like, "How you doing? Like, what's up?" And after the year that we just had is so loaded, right?
Yeah.
Like I could say honestly, right now I'm doing great. The last year, like, super kicked my ass. I think.
Did it?
Personally? Oh yeah.
Well, I suppose someone like yourself who is a musician, who's used to touring,
Yeah.
a lot of interactions with people, so that must have been an adjustment.
Yeah, just like really not being able to go do the thing that you think is like your purpose and what you're in your light doing. And then, like just having to really kind of like reorganize where I had been getting my self-worth from. I don't know if we want to jump into depth right away.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'm ready to go.
But like, man, if you'd told me before this happened, are you getting your self-worth from the right place? I'd be like, totally. I'm like a pretty good dude. Like I got it all figured out. And then you take away all the shows and all the situations where I'm like getting a lot of my worth from. And I'm like, I'm not scoring that well on this test that I thought I was going to do good at. So a lot of just like, I got into therapy. Do you do therapy?
Yeah.
Shit, man.
Darlene.
Never did that.
I started it in COVID.
Oh, you did in COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I mean, other than like being on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
That was my first really experience with, and it was not necessarily because, I don't know how it was for you, but we talk a lot about mental health on this show.
Yeah.
Almost every week on our Ask Nicks, I'm like, you should probably consider a therapist. And
Yeah.
I didn't go to one, and it was just more like, well, COVID. So like I got free time.
Yeah.
I'm sure I got some shit to work out. I have anxiety that I worry about shit all the time. I bet I could process that more efficiently.
Yeah.
And started talking to Darlene. It's been great.
It's been great.
Yeah. First started off every week. Now we're on an every other week process, really just a check in.
Yeah.
And it's fun. I really enjoy it.
Awkward for like in the beginning, because I like the way that we're doing right now is like I share something, you share something, and then I share, and then you share. And it feels weird to get into a situation where they're just like, no, it's just about you. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. I don't know why I have weird things about that. I don't want to do that. Like, but how are you though? Did you have any of that or no?
I mean, Darlene talks about her life enough that I can tell you a little bit about her.
Yeah, a little bit.
But not too much. Yeah, I don't, and that's the thing. I don't feel particularly judged by her. It's just more. I like to, think I'm a fairly self-aware guy. The problem, I've joked about this, like maybe this is like a narcissistic quality that I have, or I'm just like, I want to be her most interesting client.
Totally.
Do you ever?
Yes.
It's like, how do I compare like to your other clients?
So you.
The same thing of like, it's
course
not
you
about being charming.
Yeah.
Also, like you're having a conversation. It's not about like trying to get this person to laugh or to like you or you're like working through your stuff. It was just very, very strange and unfortunately needed for me.
Why do you say unfortunately?
Not unfortunately, just like I didn't think it wasn't on my radar.
Sure.
That I needed that. So there's a lot of like I see myself as a happy person.
Yeah.
And so just like letting go some of the I don't know, personal stigma with myself. Ego,
if you will.
1000%.
Well,
I feel like I lost
yeah.
like 20 pounds of ego weight through the pandemic.
That's probably
like how hard that would be.
a good balance.
It felt that way for me.
Did you ever have, before this period in your life, COVID, and you did you ever have like other periods in your life where you became more aware of your ego, or was this the first time?
That's a good question. Ego?
Like I was, for me, like 28 when I got cheated on was more like, oh my, it was the first time I understood that I even had an ego, which was dangerous considering how big my ego was.
Go into that
up into
more,
28.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, I was cheated on, right?
Yeah.
I was engaged at the time. It was and so I think for a lot of people, especially dating in relationships or whatever, especially when you're younger, no one thinks shitty things are gonna happen to them, right? Especially when you're younger, and then it does. And I think some of the most difficult times we have in terms of processing whatever disappointment we have is the idea that we never thought it would happen to us. Yeah. So in addition to someone hurting our feelings or breaking our heart, which we still have to process, we also have to process the disappointment. Like we have to like be like, hey, ego, sorry, we got cheated on.
Like, I know that you don't think this is who we are, but it is.
I know, like,
so like we're gonna have to work through this. Yeah.
I know it wasn't possible. Like, yeah, I'm as surprised as you, but like. And that was the first time I even had the self-awareness of even considering how my ego played a role in my feelings. And so like that was a very kind of monumental, for me, it was the first time I really felt like I knew who I was. And I don't think you really know who you are until you can even consider or like have like that kind of meta moment where you kind of meet your ego. We overpay on so many things that are unnecessary, and our cell phone is one of those many things. Mint Mobile trying to get you to stop doing that, and Ryan Reynolds, God bless him, is trying to save you a bundle, and they're doing it because instead of like having, go to the mall or go to a store and shop for your cell phone plans, and you just do this all online. It's the internet, people. Like why do we need to go to a store and pay for all that overhead? Because ultimately you're paying for it. It's not them. It's you. And Mint Mobile is saying, you know what? We'd rather just give you your wireless and data for $15 a month. 5G, great network, great phones, great service, and all doing it with great marketing from Ryan Reynolds. They basically asked me to promote their product because, well, they couldn't afford anyone else because they wanted to make sure you get the savings. They can't even afford Ryan Reynolds anymore. They just have me do it.
Yeah. What do we call you? The Walmart Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah. So, hey, but the good news is you get the savings, $15 a month. And if you're not 100% satisfied, Mint Mobile has you covered with their 7-day money-back guarantee. If you can't figure it out in 7 days, well, that's on you. You've got unlimited talk and text and high-speed data delivered at the nation's largest 5G network for $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, and to get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/VIALL. That is mintmobile.com/VIALL. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/VIALL. Can't lose. Each and every, baby. That's right. Smell good and treat your body right. Your skin is your largest organ. Whatever you put on it, it's going to end up in your bloodstream. So make sure what you're putting on your body is healthy and clean. And that starts with deodorant. I don't know. A lot of people out there are allergic to deodorant, like aluminum, people like myself. And if you're not, well, it doesn't mean it's still good for you. There's so much toxics and unnecessary things that go into deodorant. And with each and every natural deodorant, you have the confidence and the peace of mind knowing that you're putting natural, safe ingredients in and on your body, all while smelling great. Ingredients, there are no hidden chemicals, no nasty byproducts. It's vegan, it's cruelty-free, it's sustainable, and most importantly, it smells fantastic. I'm a sweater. I work hard, I play hard, and I never stink. And I thank God for each and every, and it's easy on my body. I wear it every day. It's truly amazing. So when you're going to get out there, you're going to get hot. It's hot girl summer. Don't stink. Don't stink. Don't have armpit stains, antiperspirant stains, none of that crap. You have to go out and looking hot. You got to smell good too. We have a very special offer for our listeners. 30% off your first purchase. Go to eachandevery.com/VIALL and use promo code VIALL30. Don't wait. Get 30% off now. Use promo code VIALL30 at eachandevery.com/VIALL.
I haven't met it as directly as this year. I've had other situations that were really difficult that I got through that I didn't expect. I lost my mom at 25.
Okay.
And that like reframed my understanding of life, but that not in the same way. But this was like, oh yeah, where are you getting your self-worth from? Which even as I say that out loud scares me to say, because it just feels like, I don't know if guys talk about that a lot.
Sure.
But it's a really interesting question. Where would you say in your pie chart of yourself, of your worth?
It's changed. It's evolved.
Yeah. How much of it comes from what you do?
Right now, that's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
We talked about Nikki Glazer. Nikki's been on this podcast a few times. She was one of my first guests. And when I was younger, it was kind of embarrassing to admit, but my self-worth was my looks.
Yeah.
I remember getting, I was in my early 20s and, my girlfriend and I broke up, and I remember like being obsessed with like, am I going to lose my hair or whatever? I was all stressed out about, and I had this thought, and I said this to my parents, and I was like, well, what if I get less attractive? Who will I be?
Totally.
And I remember just being like, wow, that's really embarrassing to admit.
I know.
Like, ugh, gross. But yeah, I mean, it's weird when you're right. When you think about what makes me proud of myself, what makes me feel good. Yeah. And your self-worth.
And so a lot of this, like during the pandemic, I wrote my next record is like a lot of this stuff. And I'm excited to go into it. I love personally to get into topics that are, where there's like high stakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you write about things that are like super vulnerable, and you're like, oh, that could go terribly. I could look terrible. Or everybody's feeling it, and if you get it correctly, then it can really like have impact on people.
You do have, especially nowadays, when you're writing and you're trying to go deep, so to speak, and you're trying to talk about topics that could be triggering, so to speak. Do you feel an added pressure as a writer to get it right so that you're, like comedians will talk about, like, are you trying to relate? Are you trying to trigger people to get their attention? How do you go about writing now where the masses will understand the message you're trying to deliver?
It's always, for me, trying to find life proofs. So the analogy I use a lot is that Isaac Newton wrote out what gravity was. He got it. He was the first one to write out what it actually was. And then he gave it to us and we read it. We're like, oh, dude, I'm going through gravity every day. That's so sick that you finally wrote that down. That's incredible. You got it for all of us. Like, amazing. And I think that if you catch those little pieces, and it all reminds us that we're going through the same experience together, those are my favorite kind of pop songs. There's so many different kinds, like of music and songwriting that does incredible things. But that specific thing of catching life proofs, that's what like lights me up. That's what I love. And when you do that, and then you can see other people like at a show or they get emails all the time or on social media being like, oh my God, you helped me unlock this for myself, or I felt like we were connected in some way. And that's like my favorite thing to do. So the door that opened up on this through this pandemic was like, oh shit, I am actually really uncomfortable like with the idea that I'm depressed. Like, I don't really identify with that. I don't want to be that guy. I've made a whole business and brand about like not really being that guy. And so I think I got to write about this crap. And then you go there and you try to figure out like, all right, how do I get as specific to myself? Because usually when you get really specific, it becomes universal, which is like that weird kind of dichotomy.
Well, I mean, I just want to say you definitely nailed your brand, because like this morning I was just thinking about you and your brand, I guess, and I was like, his message is one of like happiness and positivity, which obviously
yes.
But it's interesting too, because you talk about depression and things like that, and I saw a post on your Instagram and you talked about channeling your feelings and the tension you feel, and I think you referred it to like the unhealthy version of feelings. You're talking about being a street performer.
Yes.
And I'm writing a book.
Oh, great.
And so obviously I'm in my thoughts all the time, and I was thinking of it's similar. I don't know if it's the same, but I was thinking about I was listening to a different podcast, and I heard an author talk about gratitude being the only feeling that can't become toxic.
Interesting.
Because, you know, gratitude is the appreciation and wanting to show thankfulness for whatever it is you're feeling without anything in return.
Yeah.
Right. As opposed to every other feeling, I kind of referred it to like an ugly cousin, you know? So like you got love, and that's ugly cousin is hatred.
Sure.
Right? Happiness, sadness, or happiness, depression. Hope, great. Despair is that ugly, you know, so if the hope isn't nurtured, you can feel despair, and it's
Totally.
like kind of channeling those emotions. And you were talking about, you know, early in your career, being a street performer and balancing this kind of excitement and motivation you had to, you know, I'm good. I want to do this, and I'm going to go on and on the street, and I'm going to play for people, and then making sure that, you know, you were taking care of your feelings, so to speak, for lack of a better word, and having the self-awareness of knowing that, you know, with the disappointment of people walking past you all day long, what could that turn into?
Yeah. Just I think I was talking about like that to get things going, especially in the beginning, there's a tension because you have these crazy, audacious dreams.
Yeah.
And then what actually has to happen to get to them is these really humble actions.
Yeah.
You have to take like all these very basic, minute actions. I was street performing, knowing like, no. I have a good sense in myself that this is going to be like really big and good, and I can feel that. But right now, I have to play to literally no one. Like just performing to no one, just being ignored to maybe like get this person that was going to buy jeans to buy a $5 CD today. So like that is a tension that you have to hold in yourself, which is like, this is where I see that I'm going, and this is where I am right now. And either I have to hold those two feelings. And I was saying that either when you seek to release the tension, you either go into entitlement, which is negative, which is like, I shouldn't have to be here. Yeah. I know that I'm going to be there. I should already be there. Or you go into like self-doubt, which is like, see, I knew I shouldn't have done this. That inkling that I had that I will get somewhere was just a joke to begin with. So like, look at this. Look what I'm doing right now. How could I possibly be here? Somehow hold both of those together is like really difficult.
Yeah. Well, especially entitlement. That's interesting. I'm just kind of thinking out loud because I think nowadays we're getting worse and worse on understanding what we are entitled to versus what we aren't anymore.
Totally.
And to your point, especially, you know, we're in a world of instant gratification, social media, anyone can kind of blow up overnight. And I think that's what probably stops a lot of people. I mean, I know that's what stops a lot of people. And it's probably what's stopping a lot of young people today is having that humility and putting in the work. I think a lot of my peers in reality TV will make that mistake of getting that bump and then attention from a reality TV show and then immediately feel entitled to many other things that they don't have. Ritual. Speaking of what you're putting in your body, vitamins. Not every vitamin is created equal, and just because it's a vitamin doesn't mean it's healthy for you because there's a lot of shit that other vitamin companies put in their products. Well, Ritual, not them, they want you to know what they're putting in their vitamins so you know what you're putting in your body. And they go out of their way to make sure that their vitamins are customized directly for you. They've been specialized in vitamins for women. Now they're getting vitamins for men. I've been using Ritual ever since they've had their vitamins for men. And let me tell you, I love it. And the best part is like things like fish oil, no fishy taste at all. Yeah, I got a mint tab in it, so it doesn't taste like fish, but you get all that like, you know, great fish oil benefits.
Fishy nutrients.
No, I mean, fish oil is great for your joints. It's awesome.
That omega. Get it.
So if you, we've heard from a lot of our listeners who've been using Ritual that it's the first vitamin that doesn't make them sick or make them nauseous. So many reasons to use Ritual. And if peace of mind isn't enough, well, get the nutrients that you need. So why not shake up your Ritual? Clean, plant-based formula specifically created to support nutrient needs at different life stages, 18 plus, pregnancy, postpartum, and 50 plus. So you know you're getting the vitamins that are right for you. To make trying something new less scary, Ritual is offering a money-back guarantee if you're not 100% in love. Plus, my listeners get 10% off during their first 3 months. Just visit ritual.com/VIALL to add essential protein today. That's ritual.com/VIALL. Rothy's sustainability and fashion all into one amazing lineup of footwear and handbags. God bless them. All my friends are wearing Rothy's. They look good. They feel good. There's no break-in period. They always look brand new because you can throw them in a washing machine and it doesn't wear them out. They look brand spanking new, and people compliment them all the time. And you have the comfort of knowing that you're helping the earth because they're made out of recyclable plastics. So instead of throwing them away, you're doing something good for the environment, all while looking super fashionable. Upgrade your closet with washable, sustainable, stylish shoes and bags from Rothy's. Plus, they've launched men's shoes. What? They've launched men's shoes? So make sure to check them out for the guy in your life. Well, I'm going to Rothy's. Send me some goddamn shoes.
It's the best day of your life. It's the best day of your life. You have to be jealous of me anymore.
God damn it, I'm excited. Whew. Can't wait. I'm getting some Rothy's today. Head to rothys.com/VIALL to find your new favorites today. I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to use that promo code. That's ROTHYS.com/VIALL. Go get me some Rothy's, baby.
Which I think, going back to the worth thing, was like a real gift if we were willing to take it throughout this pandemic, was this intense pause of like, okay, you can't get it. You can't get it. There is no bump. All the bumps are gone. Like everything that you were getting filled up from, at least from your job, took like a deep pause. And is there a way to put yourself back together that is a little bit more sustainable? You know, I was just thinking like, yeah, fame is such like a crazy thing to trade on. Like I don't ever want to trade on that worth wise.
What do you mean?
Like it's such a crazy roller coaster of who's hot, what's working, what's not. And I've been doing this for like 10 years now. So I've taken the roller coaster and had people, you know, call and then not pick up your call and then pick it up again. Oh my God, dude. Right? Like that is like a terrible thing to be placing too much of your, I keep saying the word worth. I wish there was other ones. Too much of your like, yeah, your self-worth in that. And I think that for a lot of people, it used to be just in Hollywood, but now it's like, man, it's really tough on social media. You could have some funny thing that happens at the grocery store, and now you're the man for like the next 3 days, and then oh God, if it goes away.
Because that's true. Like, how do you manage that in terms of like is it just having a self-awareness? Because for me, sometimes I just, and when I'm on the up, I try to tell myself like it's not me, it's, you know, some of it's luck, what I'm doing, you know, and valuing the real people around you.
You know, it's really interesting. I was thinking a lot about this, and I was writing a lot of songs about it, and I don't have an answer yet. I was just like processing it. One thing I do think though is that you, through therapy and like really being able to see some of the places that I was like getting too much self-worth from, I was able to create my own boundaries for myself of like, oh, okay. So I can't, at least awareness is like what you're saying is the first step. And then really creating like mental pockets where like, you know, throughout the day, I'll like put my phone down and just be with my daughters for 2 hours when I get home. That is irrelevant to whatever anybody thinks about me, whether my song's blowing up, whether anything's happening. It's like, oh yes, this is the undeniable who I am, where I build myself up. Yeah, I'm open to like really digging in and learning more techniques and stuff. But like, I know for sure, the one thing I know for sure is if you are getting all of your self-worth from what you do, you're in trouble.
Or maybe just from any one thing.
From any one thing.
Right?
Sure.
Because if 90% of your self-worth is coming from even your kids, as great as that might sound.
No, totally.
You know, they're going to get older. They'll get other joys in life. Maybe there could be a period in that where the relationship is a little strained. Or
no, totally. Yeah, you got to keep.
And then, or your work, looks, your relationship with your wife, or, you know, like you just never really know the ups and downs. And I suppose if too much of any one thing is going to one direction, as great as it might sound, you're like, oh, well, how could it ever be bad that all my self-worth comes from my kids?
Yeah.
I think my parents, as you know, I have 10 siblings, so I'm one of 11.
Holy crap!
Their whole life was
kids
to their kids, and my parents are great. But now, as they're becoming closer to empty nesters, there's been a transitional process for them of finding purpose as they get older, and And I think it's probably because, so much, and I'm grateful for it. And I hope my younger siblings are even more grateful for it, because they could have stopped after 3. I'd still exist. I'm the second oldest.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you should be pretty thankful, I have a very I come from a conservative brother, and I've become more progressive. And I've with 10 siblings, the spectrum of belief systems is all over the board.
Interesting.
In terms of
really you say that, because while you're talking, what I do think I know when it's coming from a good place, it's coming from my values, and then I'm proud of myself if I'm aligned with my own values. To me, being honest, being of service to other people, all these things. When I am acting in that way, then that's coming from my choice to act that way, and then I feel proud of that, and therefore I have self-worth in that way, which is interesting. And that's still, from me. That's all about me, self. The main word there is self. What rocked me was when my therapist told me, he's like, yeah, I just when I look at where a lot of the self-worth is coming from, it's a lot of things that are outside of yourself. And I was like, shit, dude, that is really unfortunate.
Like what?
Yeah, if you think of even doing a show, going and playing a show, there's a lot of that feels healthy to me, because it's me in my light. It's what I love to do and all that. But there's a lot of things that surround it that are necessary in the moment, but are kind of irrelevant. Oh, we need your voice to be good, so we can have you talk that much right now. So we're just going to get someone to get you your food. That times 100, that's not really healthy for anyone to do for 4 years in a row straight. Of oh, no, please. Actually, for efficiency's sake, we need you to be this way, which is less of, and care only about these things. But then you're oh man, I get home and I don't really want to do the laundry. Why not? Yeah. And just being put in a bubble and working your way through the bubble, and then looking back and going oh man, I think there's a slight need to be special.
Yeah.
And that's not cool. I don't want to be that guy.
Well, then
and it shouldn't be that shouldn't be where you get your foundation from. And I think there's, like anything else, there's seasons where it's a little bit worse than others, but really looking at it and starting to dig into it has been something that is terrifying, because I like to be the person that has it all figured out.
Sure. Yeah.
But also really good for music. I think the record's great.
When you get deep that it comes out.
Yeah. When
sure.
I think the best pop songs are the ones where you're really simple with tons of emotion behind it. That is when you get the stuff that's oh my God, this is really exciting.
Yeah, totally. It's I mean, I think a lot of musicians have said that in terms of heartbreak, breakups, whatever.
Yeah.
If it's depression, staying inside a pandemic. I mean, there's.
Yeah, a lyric,
it, yeah.
A simple lyric is either cheesy unless it has this. It really I miss you is just kind of a normal lyric.
Sure.
If it's this situation for you is that oh, I lost my mom when I was 2, and I didn't think about something happened that reminded me of her, and now I say I miss you. It's oh shit, now that really matters. And so that's really fun, is to be going through something so intense and figure out the simple little ways to put it together that they hopefully will help other people. When I write now, I think of someone in the car. I like to think of songs as being little spiritual chiropractors that they can get in and adjust you. And I've had that happen to me and been so grateful for it. And that's really what I'm attempting to do when I sit down to write a song. I don't want to take myself too seriously, but when it does it that well, it's when it really works, it has such an impact.
So perfect situation for someone listens to your song, they're feeling a certain way, they listen to Annie Grammer, and so you're attempting to maybe slightly adjust people's perspective on their feelings given the
Bring them back to
situation.
themselves.
Yeah.
Not trying to get you to do anything else. I'm not trying to manipulate any situation. I'm trying to go oh, this is happening, gravity. And then it's totally, I have gravity right now. Oh, I remember, I feel back to my truest self. That is the highest goal. It doesn't always have to be that pretentious of an ideal, but when I sit down, that's what I'm trying to get at the piano with my guitar. The last song that I had that on my last record, Don't Give Up on Me, was just the way that people used that was so inspiring to me. They would just they'd put it on every day to the stories are endless, to come back to no, I'm not going to give up on myself. in this way of bringing my authenticity into the world. No, I'm not going to give up on myself of like starting my business. No, I'm not going to like it hopefully can wrap itself around. The best ones are simple enough that they can wrap themselves around whatever it is that you're going through. But, you know, there's the quote, my company's called Ladder Soul Music. I'm a Baha'i. And one of the Baha'i quotes is, have you heard of Baha'i faith?
I went to high school with a girl who's Baha'i.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
And one of the quotes is, music is the ladder to the soul. So my goal when I like write music is like, here's a ladder. Like, hopefully I can give you this and you can climb a little bit higher with it. And you know, when that's the goal, you fail a lot because you're dealing with like, you're always like, is this cheesy? And you always have to like, that's the balance. It's like, is this right? And when it's true enough and sincere enough, it's not cheesy anymore. It's just dope. And so I usually write like so many to get to the place where when you hear it, hopefully that's how it feels.
Do you, it's cheesy, interesting you say that, like, you know, I'm with the podcast, I'd give advice and, you know, judging myself or whatever, sometimes I'm just like, that's just fucking cheesy, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, as a writer, your music is very inspiring, and sometimes, you know, the haters, and sometimes we can be our biggest hater. Is that a criticism that bugs you if someone were to call you cheesy? Like, what are
Yes.
things that bug Andy Grammer that maybe really shouldn't, but you're just like, it really
Yes,
pisses
that
me off.
definitely is something that I always I hope I've gotten better at, of like not trying to be insecure and beating you to the punch to say that it's cheesy before it being called cheesy. I've definitely slowly been learning how to just accept it. My last record was called Naive because I know that sometimes people, when you smile too much, they think you're stupid. Can I do a poem for you real quick?
Yeah, please.
Have you had a poem on the podcast
I don't
yet?
think we have.
First poem. Okay, so this is like, because it's exactly what we're talking about. It is no longer impressive to me to watch these melancholy documentaries exposing that behind the things we buy, we love, or eat is a bunch of shitty people run by money, sex, and greed. I'm not impressed with the focus, though what they say it might be true. We ignore the beauty of the forest, obsessing on low-hanging fruit. What about my soul? What about this life? What about the infinite space in the sky? What about the galaxies of possibilities swimming in my daughter's eyes? I've been labeled positive, optimistic, the guy that makes the happy music. And while I'm flattered with these words come with an aftertaste of stupid. As if smart people are the ones who used to smile but learned their lesson. As if the scientific truth of reality is that it's depressing. I do not agree. So if it's stupid to see the good in everything, then hell yeah, call me naive. That was kind of my like.
No, that's good.
All right.
I love Andy so much.
That was kind of my like actually accepting that this is what I love. This is what I'm into. It's to try to inspire people, to try to like bring you back to the center. And if you think I'm stupid, then like fuck you. I don't know what to tell you.
No, it's a challenge.
And more less. It's less about like fuck you and more about just like, hey, dude. This is who you are. Like you got to accept that, man. Stop trying to like guard it for other people or make it in a way that you're afraid they won't digest you. Just like, this is what you love. This is who you are. Go do that.
It's tough though. I mean, it's
Really
really
hard.
hard to, you know, especially if you try to be self-aware and self-deprecating, and like it can come at a price of becoming hypersensitive about the things you want to say you're aware about, you know, and then it's just like, well, I can be self-deprecating to myself, and then therefore you're just like, but no, like I'm self-deprecating so no one else
Can
to me.
And I'm now excited and terrified about this next cycle of music because it's like a lot about self-love, and I don't hear a lot of guys talking about that. It seems like kind of a scary thing to talk about, like you're going to be called out for being cheesy or stupid or
Tell
whatever.
me more about that.
Just like really being open about, you know, there's a song about like, I want to love myself without needing someone else to tell me. And like, that's like a simple lyric that's like very real. And yeah, I think there's something with masculinity about talking about self-love is like, don't do that, dude. I don't know why. I can't like get specific about it. I just know that like, as soon as I start to talk about it, I can feel like the masculine police being like, dude, that's not a good idea. You can go ahead and give us your man card back now because before you even start talking, you should just give it up. And I'm like, but I don't think I'm the only one that struggles with this, with the self-worth thing. So let's just go.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, masculinity is a interesting topic these days. I was going to do this last week. I forgot to do it, but I because you have toxic masculinity as a buzzword phrase now. And then everything is polarizing. And I'm honestly curious, and I have an audience of women for the most part on my Instagram, and I'm really curious if I just put a poll up and I said the word masculinity is positive or negative. What are your thoughts? And I'm really curious of what people would say, because it seems like, for all the people, like, is all masculinity toxic to some people, or what is positive masculinity? Is there such a thing for people? How can men feel like men while at the same time be open with their feelings and without alienating other, men? It seems the word masculinity, I never thought is an extremely charged word.
I think that, going back, another Baha'i quote is that the quality of men and women is like a bird, and you have femininity is one wing and masculinity is the other. Mm-hmm. And it can't fly unless they're equal. So a lot of times with like, from the male perspective, you're like, oh, I'm aware that it's like unfair and that this wing is like more over history has been more powerful, and not powerful, but has been given more attention and has been unequally I don't know. It's unequal. It's gotten more. So what's cool about that analogy is that I, as a man, then get to think about it like, oh, then I don't even know what it is to fly. Like, it's actually that I'm not doing the best I can do either. It's not just like, oh, well, there's 10 cookies, we have 7, and I guess we'll give you like a couple back. It's more like, oh shit, we can't fly. We don't even know what it is to be at our best. And I think that, when you look at masculinity, you look at like, oh yeah, when it's out of balance, it's not good for men either. So we don't have a ton to look to. I mean, one of the craziest moments was I was with my friend, and he has a son, and his son I forget what it was, but we were trying to think of what are some words, like you just said, that we can think of that are good about being masculine, that aren't charged. Yeah. When you think of like, what are some words that of femininity, it's not hard. You go like, oh, nurturing, creation, freaking make babies, amazing. Like they just like fall out of my mouth. And then when you go for masculinity, it gets hard. Yeah. It gets really weird. What are we pointing to? What are we pointing our little kids to?
You said that. I'm trying to think. The first thought that came to mind is protective. And then I immediately thought, is that going to be triggering for some people to say, well, I don't need you to protect me.
Yeah.
Who gives you that right?
Totally.
And I'm just like, oh, sorry. I wasn't trying to, I'm just saying, like, I would if you want me to. And it becomes, and you see, like, I'm just trying, and especially with this podcast, if I have one goal, is trying to get people to value relationships of all kinds more. And I think people are forgetting what relationships mean. We are entering in a society where I'm just going to spend time with like-minded people. And if that is the goal, then I think it's becoming harder and harder to have relationships, because a relationship to me is that understanding that there's a love there, there's a desire to have a relationship, and an openness to express feelings at the risk of disappointment or hurt, knowing that if that does happen, we're going to have a dialogue to find a common ground through our disconnect and our disappointment. And the more we continue to try to disassociate ourselves with people who disagree with us, I think it's becoming harder and harder to have relationships of any kind, because to me, those aren't relationships. Those are just like validation robots, or I don't know what you want to call it. It's just like, I'm just only hang out with so-and-so as long as you agree with me, you tell me I'm awesome. No one's going to check me. No one's going to suggest. It's just like, hey, I love you. Is there another way of going about this without you hurting my feelings? And it's becoming harder and harder to do that. And that's my great worry of the world is relationships, because we're becoming unwilling to have our feelings hurt and have discussions, with people who might disagree with something that we feel.
I would agree with that 1,000%. I think we need to be as open as possible in all, and I think it's a little bit hard. Like, I love social media. I actually do enjoy it, and then of course it's a love-hate. There's like a lot of weird things about it, but the silo effect of it is pretty wild. Yeah, like with TikTok, like you only see what you love. That's insane. Yeah, that is exactly what you're talking about.
Totally,
but it's also like super entertaining. Like I really like it.
Totally, yeah.
But then I don't, like it's really wild.
But you think about it, these silos, right? Men, women, Republican, Democrat. Gay, straight, like whatever you identify with, the more things get siloed, the more we're going to get disconnected. And this idea of the individual, which, I mean, when it comes to individual, to a lot of degrees, I like George Carlin is someone like you look at back at some of his old stuff. He's like, he likes the individual and not the group, because whenever a group gets together, the thoughts and opinions get distorted, but the individual has some valid opinions. But the individual also, like we need to have relationships to keep us in check. And I'm just wondering, like, if it's our feelings that at the end of the day are the ones that need to be validated constantly. Yeah. How do we have relationships? Because our feelings sometimes are going to be hurt.
Yeah. And then, it's even like pull out even more of the like macro. This makes me think of like, what do you think happens when you die? Because like, what's the purpose?
I know what I want to think.
Purpose of being here?
Yeah.
To me, the purpose of being here is to like grow. Is to grow spiritually. I think you grow spiritually and then you go somewhere else. The same way that like a baby in the womb grows arms and legs, and then they get here and they're like, I'm so glad I grew these because I get to use these now. I think that's what we're doing spiritually here. And so, yes, the whole point is to like lift your spiritual weights, and you can't do that if you're only talking to people that are exactly aligned with you. The whole point is to get into these like interesting, tense things and try to understand each other. Yeah. Try to get deeper. Yeah.
And we're getting away, and social media is definitely siloing us because it's that much easier to find people who agree with us, and then we form these groups of like-minded people, and that's how we get radicalized, because there's no one there to say, hold on, just opposing thought, just want to throw it out there, and then that group is just like, fuck you.
It's been one of the gifts of being a touring musician is that you're in a completely new place every day. So before the pandemic, you're literally like, oh, this morning I'm getting breakfast in Richmond, then I'm getting breakfast in Florida, then I'm getting breakfast in Washington, and now I'm getting breakfast in the Philippines. And so you kind of like, you do have a lot of these conversations, and that was really helpful as things got so politically intense. I never could go, oh, those people are terrible, or these people are terrible. I'm like, no, they're the best. Mm-hmm. I was just with them. They're unbelievable. Whereas there's a lot going on here that's making it difficult for us to see each other.
How do you go about that with your music, or do you go out of your way as you travel to continue to connect? And do you feel comfortable these days having conversations with people who disagree with you?
Yeah, I don't align with any political party, which makes it a little bit easier.
Until you tell someone that who does. I'm more like you. Like, I don't know what people this is not a political show. We don't talk about politics. I don't know what people think I am. I've voted for both parties type of thing. But yeah, I'm curious. Yeah. But I found that sometimes people, it's like, if you're not with us, you're against us.
Sure. And I align more with like, this is a bigger thing. And it's really, there's no easy answer to it. I do think I just have a lot of compassion for both sides. and it wouldn't feel correct to carry the flag for either one, because I have genuine love for people in both.
Yeah, well, we align there. So you're a father of two
babies,
wonderful daughters.
Oh my god,
He's a girl dad.
The girl dad.
I'm a girl
dad.
dad.
And how long you been in your relationship with your
Coming
wife?
up on 9 years.
9 years.
Well, and your dog's a girl, and
Yeah,
your wife's
and
a
I have a
girl.
little-
You're surrounded.
You're surrounded.
I'm
They're
just
taking you over.
completely surrounded. It's insane.
How do you keep the spark alive? It's one of the questions we most often get that is hardest to answer.
I think you have to, at this point in my life, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen. It's insanity.
Simple.
My life is completely insane. From the moment that like we wake up to someone's crying and freaking out, and then you come home and it's like the mixture of it, it's amazing, and then insanity. And so if it's not put in the calendar that on every Thursday you go for a date, you just won't never do it. So I think that's really like not a sexy answer, but the most effective.
It's practical.
Super practical, because like you
And
like
you
your
can use
partner.
it, yeah.
She's amazing. I love my wife. It's really hard to like be like flirty and fun with someone when there's throw up on the floor and the dog is biting you. It's like hard to not be like, could you just? Right? Like that's how you get with each other.
It's funny.
And so
'cause
if you don't create the space where you can actually connect in a different way, it won't ever happen.
Yeah.
The pterodactyl video on your Instagram is like my favorite video, because every parent I feel like has been in that situation, but the two of you just sitting there
Oh my God.
trying to be like when your kids are screaming.
I mean, wait, do you have kids?
It's insane.
No, I just got a dog, which
Okay.
is for the like
Do you want kids or are you against it?
Very much so.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's funny because I mean, my girlfriend's name is Natalie, and I love her for it because she's just like, I think we need to make sure that we prioritize us.
Yes.
I think she's already afraid because I'm allergic to dogs, and we got a non-allergenic dog, so I can play with it.
Great.
And so, being someone who's naturally allergic to dogs, I've always liked dogs, but no one would consider me a dog person in the sense that I don't run up to every dog and be like, oh my God, your dog. I'm like, hey, cool dog. I'm going to keep going because I don't want to be itchy. And so far, I'm really into Jeff. Jeff's my dog's name.
Yes.
And Natalie's already kind of being like, do you love me anymore? Or like, because I'm like, bye, Jeff. I'll be back. And I'm like, bye. She's like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah.
And it's kind of he's created a soft spot in my heart, but I can see how as your family grows with kids or pets that without like ever thinking you're not showing your partner enough of attention and love, how it's like in sports people will say, well, there's only one football, so there's only I only have one heart, I only have one there's only one of me to give. I have a finite amount of space in my heart or love to give, and it's really important, I think, as we introduce other things to prioritize that time. And just getting Jeff for 2 days, it makes you think, oh,
whoa,
okay, so
this is what I'd first of all definitely do. It's still worth it. Way hard. Only one football, and you get it's still worth figuring out how to share it. It is the best thing in the world. You can't. Well, you can. Many people do it. Anyways. What I think the difference between, this is the analogy that I use of no kids to kids, is throughout your normal year, say 1 is the worst day of your life, 10 is the best day of your life. You usually, I don't know, I like my life, and I still would hang around like 6, maybe 5 mostly, then a 7. You're in between like the 5 and 7 range. Something awesome happens that you like really connect with someone, or something career-wise happens amazing, maybe hit a 10. Something really awful happens once in a while, you hit a 1. With kids, you're like just rocking 1s and 10s all day long from the moment you go up to the moment you go to sleep. You hit like 40 10s and then 40 1s. It's just like a way more aggressive way to live your life. But there's so many more 10s. It's unbelievable. Like, it's amazing. My little girls this morning were so cute and horrible. Like, just the worst. And then, oh my God, the best. Like, your heart is just like expanding, and it's totally worth it. And it's yes, everything that your girlfriend is worried about is true, but it can
she's
be
not really worried, but
it's
a thought. It can
be dealt with, and it is not easy, and it is still totally worth it. in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. I hope I'm lucky enough to have it someday. And even like, you know, with dating Natalie and then now getting Jeff, I'm really nesting really fast. All of a sudden,
that's great.
Went from being single for a number of years, and it's weird when you start like you can get. I think that's the risk of. I think being single is sometimes very much treated unfairly. Why are you single? Why are you single? Like as if there's some sort of something wrong with you. But a downside of being single is it's just by definition you become more selfish because you can.
Sure.
You have less things you only have to worry about yourself.
Yeah.
It's great, but I think that hardens you. And I've definitely gotten a lot softer in a really great way, and it feels very rewarding to to love things other than yourself. And
you know, it's funny because I was worried. I had a little baby girl in the pandemic. It was like the second week of lockdown. We had Izzy. She was born in my living room. I freaking caught her. Whole other discussion. Whoa! And I was, before she came, I was really like worried because my first daughter, Louisiana, I like love her so much. She broke my heart open in an amazing way, and we had such a bond. And I couldn't really imagine another person in that zone. And then there was a day where I actually, so with my daughters, and I do it for other kids, for other people as well. When someone's gonna have a kid, if they're willing to tell me their name, then I will make a playlist. And the rules are that it has to have the title of the song has to be the name, or the artist has to be the name. So like one of my good songwriting friends just had a baby named Henry, and I got like 20 songs. The top coolest songs that have Henry as the title or the artist of Henry. And you just kind of give them like, this is what music around this word means, and give it to them. So my daughter's name's Louisiana. Her playlist is fire. It's like all jazz, and she's so cool. And then my second daughter, her name is Israel. And I hadn't been thinking about the playlist.
Yeah, that's a crazy playlist.
Like a wild playlist. And so there was something about going to look. I was in an airport in Chicago going to look at like what songs are with Israel. And this guy, the Hawaiian guy that sings Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Have you heard that version?
Oh, yeah.
That came up.
I love that guy.
That came up and as one of the first songs. Unbelievable song.
He's amazing.
And I love like reading the tea leaves in life. So that song comes up and that has such an incredible significance to me because I got to sing Imagine by John Lennon in Times Square when the ball drops.
Yes, you did, honey.
You got the ball's dropping. I'm singing Imagine. It ends, and then this version of Somewhere Over the Rainbow by this guy, Hawaiian Israel. I can't remember his last name. I'm the worst. There's confetti falling everywhere. Everyone's so happy. It was like one of the most peaceful moments of my entire life. Just like you're in the middle of New York City. There's just so much joy, and there's confetti, and this song is happening. And it was like, it burned in my brain as like, whoa, really enjoy this. So then we pick the name Israel. I go and I look for it. And the first thing that comes up is this moment. And now I'm just crying in the airport, looking at it. And I'm having this moment of like, oh my God, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to like break my heart again. The same way with your little dog that it's like opening up more than you're expecting. You're going to have a baby, it's going to break it again. And you just like keep breaking. And I think we're always a little bit attached to like, oh God, is it going to be different or what's going to happen? And that's actually the impetus to the song that just came out, Lease on Life, is like, whoa, I'm going to do this whole thing again. I'm going to fall in love this deep again. Holy shit. That's incredible. You know?
Yeah, that's really great. Do you want to, do you want a boy?
Of course.
Do you think you'll?
My wife has hyperemesis, which is like a really intense.
Poor Asia.
The kids are great, but she gets rocked getting them here.
Yeah,
and she had like she had a needle that had like a Zofran pump 24 hours like going into her. She gets sick all the time, throws up all day long.
So being pregnant for her
that's what Amy Schumer had too, because Amy Schumer made it like really.
We've literally been like, they've been texting all the time. Just like, how bad was this? Like, so bad. Like back and forth. She's the coolest. So I am very persuasive. That's what I'll say. It's like, if I was a betting man, we're looking like exactly 50-50 right now. She definitely needs a break.
But it's a big ask for her.
It's a huge ask. But I would love a boy. I think I would love another one. Boy or girl. Girls are great. Girls are so great.
Yeah. I just hope I'm lucky enough to be a father. Selfishly.
You definitely will.
You want a boy.
You want a boy?
I mean, like, listen, again, I would be happy with one healthy baby. Great.
Yeah.
But there's definitely like if it was a boy, would it be mad? And
I know. Both are really cool. The thing about girls is that you get to be the ambassador for half the world. Like, you get to set up what her expectations are of the rest of men. And that is like such an incredible responsibility and honor.
How do you plan on teaching your daughters about men?
So I actually just wrote another song that I just finished, and it's around this idea that, like, I can't make you do anything, really. Like, I'm not gonna be able to make you do anything. All that I get to do is create what home is for you. So you're gonna go to a festival, probably. Don't listen to this. You might like smoke something, and like hopefully you won't. You don't need to, but like there will be situations where you stray from what home is to you, and I just need to be the guy that, you know, like, oh, I'm experimenting right now, but like home for me is like this type of a guy. Like someone who really values me, honors me, and thinks I'm incredible. That's home. That's what my center is. And then you have your life where you like go off and try, and then you come back and stuff like that. Yeah.
I love that you mentioned, like, you can't. I think it's really smart and hard to do, and I'm not a father, so I can't necessarily speak for it. But the first thing you said about that is I can't really make.
I'm not going to make you do
anything. And I think a lot of parents.
I mean, right now I'm definitely, you're two.
Sure.
Eat that.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you do that. Like basic things.
Adult,
I need you to pick up your shoes. I can make you do that.
Teenage years is harder and harder.
It's harder and harder.
And then that control, the more you try to control, I feel like there's that risk of rebelliousness.
So one of my favorite things, what I did before both girls, is I reach out to pick like 10 women that I really, really respect and love, and go like, hey, can you tell me one thing your dad did incredible and one thing that he could have done better? And it's like such an awesome, interesting thing to get emails back of like, this is what my dad did that was like really, really special, and this is what he did that was not super cool. And I think like research like that, and I like to ask strangers. I like to ask the barista. I'll ask you right now, what's one thing your dad did that was incredible and one thing he could have done a little better?
You're going to make her cry.
This is a loaded question for me.
Yeah.
It's loaded.
Well, my dad passed away. So like I get flooded with like so many things. It's hard for me to think of something that he did that he could have done better.
Got it.
Because now I only have positive things. But my dad he just loved me. Like if I came home crying, he just made sure I was okay.
Yeah.
He also put me in golf lessons when I was 10.
Solid. It's funny. I was co-hosting the Today Show with Jenna Bush, and I asked her this question. And she said something like really sweet about him, and then realized that she had to say something bad about like a president. She's like, he's a bad dancer.
That's tough on air.
Yeah, it is.
But I love that. I was just thinking about, I get asked a lot about advice, and what's advice that I would give young men is to, value their platonic relationships with women and ask a lot of questions of those women. And if you don't have a ton of like even your girlfriends, I mean, like stop learning from your bros about how to make a woman or your girlfriend happy. And I think sometimes young men, you're talking about masculinity, of the pressure either from your bros or your friends, or the perception that women like, you don't want to ask. You want to be assertive. Like, don't ask a girl if she wants to go to dinner with you. Say, I'm going to take you to dinner type of thing. And like that shit works, but like
Does it?
Yeah, it does.
Wow.
But at the same time, I think, the idea of like, what does an 18-year-old like ask your girlfriend what she likes about his intimacy,
Sure.
good and bad experience, like good and bad experiences with men,
Yep.
and men, you talk about polarization, and a lot of guys out there, it's just like, there's just a lot of hatred or frustration towards men and masculinity. Men are shitty, and I even get frustrated when I see things on TikTok. But the reality is if you were to ask your women friends about their experiences, every single woman that I know has an experience with a man that, and probably many more than one, that's either made them uncomfortable or unsafe or more. And just asking those questions and finding out. And maybe that experience came from miscommunication or misunderstanding, and I think young men need to like sit down. If you have a woman friend, just be like, what's it like for you? What do you like? What do you dislike? And for whatever reason, we don't do that enough as young men. And
and I'll go further. You know, I found a lot of parallels doing some work on myself around just like context. Like I consider myself someone who has pretty good context, but around, when George Floyd happened, I'm like, oh, not as much as I thought. Holy crap. Like, uh-oh. And similarly with the equality of men and women, sometimes we just need to listen a lot more. I was out on tour and I brought all of my, female, like crew members and backup singers and anybody that was in the band that was female. And I'm like, anything I can do differently specifically for women? This is like my 8th year touring.
Yeah.
Why is it taking me so long to ask this question? Like, what can we do? And the answers were, yes, actually, this dude touches us too much. Super fucking creepy. Could you get on that? Like, just like a little too long on the back.
Sure. Yeah.
Or, I don't have to explain this. Women super know this. Or they go like, if you could put lids on the trash cans, because we're all living in a bus, and sometimes there's like products that need to go, and it would be cool if there's lids. Things that I have no idea about, would have never thought, but also for some reason, 8 years in, have never just like made it a thing to make sure that you ask. So being open to being off on context, I think for men is really important. Really, really important to just being like, I need to listen a lot more than I'm listening right now.
Yeah. And if you're not hearing it because maybe there's a disconnect, there's a discomfort of even saying it. Yeah. Giving them the space to ask. So they're like, oh, yes.
Yeah. And then the clincher was that they're all like, no one's ever asked this.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh, that makes me really upset. And I'm the one that hasn't asked either. And I wrote like an open letter in the touring magazine, which is Polestar, kind of about it, trying to get the idea of this out. Because once you hear from the women in your life these things, and you actually hear it, and you're not like defensive about it, oh my God, you want to jump up and do stuff about it. It's like,
oh my God,
let's go get trash cans. Hey, you fucking stop doing that. Like, let's figure out, like if you hear it, there's way more good men out there.
Sure.
But we're not listening. We're not really listening.
Exactly. Yeah. Or we're not even asking.
Amen to that.
What is like, what do you like? What do you dislike? How could I do better? What are your experiences? What are moments what do you feel uncomfortable?
Yeah.
Because I think I've asked Natalie, I was like, what's your perception of men? And she's like, not great.
Not great.
And it's not because she doesn't have a lot of great men in her life. It's because, you hear the word bad apple, and like those can be, traumatic experiences. So it's just like understanding, again, your right context, so that
being open that your context is not correct.
Yeah.
Like actually being open to that is a thing that a lot of men need to do.
And that's, I guess, masculinity too, where it's just like it's okay to ask how to do it, and doesn't make you less of a man. Why are you supposed to know? I don't understand. I use that analogy. It's just like when you sex and dating, you don't get into a race car without knowing how to drive and put your foot on the gas.
Totally.
And yet when it comes to sex and dating, that's what both men and women seem to be doing. It's getting better now, because like when I grew up in a conservative classic household, the only instructions that I got to like being given a Ferrari was to not drive.
Yeah.
And I was like, but what if I decide to drive? They're like, don't. We're not going to teach you how. We're just going to tell you not to do it.
Yeah.
And then people get in these kind of high-powered vehicles, again, our sexuality and our hormones, and that's why we always crash and burn.
Totally.
So yeah, I guess ask more. I love that you said that in terms of parenting, because I was always thinking in terms of dating and relationships, but
Yeah.
parenting. It's great because a lot of parents these days don't like anyone else parenting their kid. And so to
Sure.
ask, you
Yeah.
know, well, how do you think I should do it? What about your what are your experiences with your father, and what
And
could
people
I do
that you,
better?
you know, almost like mentor, people that you really respect and like, whoa, you're incredible. Can you tell me how that happened?
Yeah.
Yeah. What role your dad played in that? It's cool.
Will you play a fun little game with us called Do You Know Me before we let you go?
Let's do it.
All right. Andy Grammer, do you know me? Are you good at grammar?
I've had to become because of this shit.
I'm terrible, and I
Like every
I
radio
don't think
interview.
because you're a writer, you'd have to be good at grammar.
No, but like
I don't know.
every radio interview I've ever been on, they're like, all right, spell vacuum or some crap, or like
Is that
there. I'm like, okay, I gotta really figure this out.
I couldn't have. I would not hold up to that last
Yeah, exactly.
name. I would be terrible. Anyway,
Terrible.
you didn't have to like back it up, Chrissy.
I'm terrible too at it. I don't know, like the two of us together, it's like not good.
And I text people it's usually, huh?
Huh?
Do you know me? With Andy Grammer. Question number. Oh, I should explain the rules. Super easy, by
Yes.
the way. I'm going to ask you a question. Don't answer it away. We are going to guess.
Okay.
If
And then I'll
we
let you know.
we know, and if you have an anecdotal story to share, please. If not,
Okay.
no pressure. Just yes or no. Do you know me with Andy Grammer? Did Andy cook at home more than ordering in this week? I don't know. I feel like a father of two young daughters. He's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm going to say he's someone cooked. I don't know if he did, but I don't know if the family ordered in. And I no pressure if you did. I don't want to like
Wait,
parent
is
shame
that
you.
it? Do I share now?
No, well, I my guess is you cooked more than ordered in.
I'm with Nick.
I agree with that assessment. With two little kids, I feel like you always have to.
I have fully.
I don't know, but
fooled
date
you.
night. I don't know.
We are terribly like Postmates to the moon. So much.
I love it.
I just like I don't even know what it.
What's your go-to? And I'll-
Go-to? Well, there's like a lot of stuff. Yeah. What do we get last night? We got like some really good Mexican food, sushi. Yeah,
I
we're
miss
bad.
Postmates.
I cook breakfast. I don't know if that counts.
Sure.
I cook breakfast, but not as much as because we ordered.
I mean, it would
think
be
we ordered
wild
every
if you
night
told
this
me you
week.
Postmated
That's bad.
breakfast.
She'll be mad that I told everyone that.
It's fine.
Yeah.
No one's suggesting you're Postmating Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Does Andy believe in zodiac signs? Can we define believe for this particular question?
Like, is he entertained by it, or is
Does-
he like live his life by it?
Well,
Those
is there
would
a
be the
happy
two
medium?
things.
Does Andy attribute any value whatsoever to understanding someone's zodiac sign to help them understand the person? Because what we've learned from our friend Ricky Williams is that it can be useful to understand kind of people's roadmaps. It doesn't necessarily tell you or predict the future who they are,
Sure.
but he believes that it is a bit of a roadmap to understanding people. Would you subscribe to that thought? He's Baha'i, so he's a
In every
spiritual
couple,
man.
you need
That goes
Need one.
against or for. I think he's down to. I don't think he dismisses it entirely.
I don't think he's into it right now.
I remember sitting at we lived on Fountain with my roommate, and we both just were like coming to it for the first time. And I'm a Sagittarius, and my friend was a Taurus, and it described us both insanely to a T. Like Sagittarius is like, don't hold me down, super optimistic, wants to travel all the time, all this stuff. I'm just being like, whoa, this is kind of weird. So I think it's like a fun inexact science. And I do like when my most recent daughter was born, I wanted her to get to the next fire sign. If that means anything to you. Like we were waiting for her to be born. I'm like, if you just hold out a little bit more, she'll be like.
So
she'll be
Nick
fire.
takes that one.
Hard yes.
That was a
Hard, yes. I'm not gonna like make any plans on it, but it's fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Has Andy ever popped someone's pimple? I think the world's divided into two people. You're either a
So
pimple
gross.
popper.
I can't. No.
Uh,
I don't know.
I don't feel things are more satisfying than
You
popping.
are? You're a
That
pimple
is
popper?
Oh, yeah.
so disgusting.
Someone else's pimple?
And mine, theirs. I don't care.
Anyone's.
Stranger on the street. I'm like, I got this, bro. Is Andy?
So
I'm
gross.
getting a no vibe from Andy.
Not even when you
I-
were
Because he
I'm
said to
hoping
me
it's a
in
no.
I don't even. You don't even. No. For me, it's a no. For me, it's a no, dog. But my wife is 100%.
I'm telling you,
I gotta
the
fight
world's
her
divided.
Fight her
It's
off my
terrible.
face.
Yeah. Natalie, not a pimple popper.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, give me that thing.
Give it.
Oh God, so gross. Do you
Orgasm
pick
or popping a
scabs too,
pimple?
Nick?
Oh yeah,
Are you a scab picker?
100%.
Oh God, I can't.
Natalie will just let it like live. She's like, no, it's like it's on its journey to like healing. Let's fucking bust that shit open.
Oh my God.
That's great. Has Andy ever given a stranger a fake phone number?
Touring guy. Yes. Somebody come up to him on the street. Come on.
I think
it's a weird creeper.
I think that's
Come on. It's got to be a creeper situation.
I think that's the
in there.
easy answer.
Of course it is.
I think women do it more than men for safety reasons because there is a let's just get out of this situation without frustrating the person asking for our number. So let's just
100%.
as opposed to like someone like myself who would just be like, no.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say Andy has not because he would just say, no, I'm not going to give you my number rather than lying about a fake number.
I'm also like a super rule follower. So similar to like, I wouldn't want to lie to you right now.
Yeah. See,
I don't want to lie to your face.
Rather disappoint you than lie.
No, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to, I wouldn't lie and say no. I would probably be like, I don't know. I would make some other reason that honestly is as bad as a lie, but I would weasel out of it. I wouldn't want to be like, oh yes, here's my phone number that is actually not my phone number. That would ruin my day.
I've never done it.
Yeah,
not it. It just would seem so wrong to me, and I get why women might do it, but
yeah,
I just have not. Has Andy ever had more than 2 cavities?
His whole life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I have not really done drugs. Wait until marriage to have sex.
You waited till marriage to have sex?
Yeah, super rule follower. So sugar was the spot to go to, and yeah, I definitely have cavities.
Well, how old were you when you got married?
26.
Good for you.
Long time.
Has Andy ever been in a fist fight?
I'm going to say he's a lover, not a fighter.
I'm going to say no.
So I have never been in a fist fight. There was one time in my life where I felt why you would do it. Like I had the inclination to be like, oh,
Like to protect someone?
yeah.
Was it
No.
to like protect
It
someone?
was that I was working at McDonald's and it was already such a shitty situation. We were in the back, we're like flipping burgers, and my coworker was one of those guys who's like not your boss, but your boss, kind of like
Sure.
giving you information, telling you why to do something, just like talking down to me. And I remember in that moment being like, oh, yeah, this is why you fight. I'm not going to do that with you. We're not going to fight, but like I get it. Yeah, that's the closest I've come.
Has Andy ever lied on his resume? No, Andy doesn't lie.
I don't think you have a resume.
I don't have a resume. There's no resumes for street performing.
He's like 3rd Street.
yeah.
Final question. Has Andy ever crashed a party? And I mean like
Sure.
truly uninvited.
Oh, no.
No,
I don't think so.
Definitely.
you have.
Yeah. Especially in the beginning when there's people that you need to meet and you're not invited. We've done that. Like just, there's like this like, I also will, this is what my wife hates is I don't know if she would think this is funny, but I have this feelings that I'm fun and that people would want to hang out with me. And so I will like text way past when you're supposed to text. There's like I'll hit people up at like 11 p.m. or someone will invite us at 5. Like, actually, we should just come. Can we come by at 2? Like things that are not okay to do. And she's always like, her job in my life is like, people don't like you as much as you think they like you.
You're like friendship booty calling people.
Yes. So if that also like micro crashes a lot. I micro crash a lot.
Oh,
of things.
okay, yeah.
Guys, this was delightful.
This is so much
All
fun.
of you, appreciate all of you.
Can't thank Andy enough for joining us today on this episode. Don't forget to check out his new song, Lease on Life, on the 28th of this month. We will be back on Monday with an Ask Nick, Dave Holmes recapping The Bachelorette, and Katie with us on Wednesday to learn more about The Bachelorette and her actual life on Wednesday. Thanks for listening.
You're crazy.